latest news from the flotilla. Let's jump over to these incredibly brave people.
This is the Israeli Navy. You are approaching a blockaded zone.
They have indeed detained Greta Thunberg. I believe at this current moment in time, every single boat has been seized.
An Israeli Navy officer orders the global Sumud flotilla to change course.
Please change your course.
Replying over the radio, the crew identify themselves as civilians on an aid mission to Gaza.
A second flotilla about to hit Israel, but we're not sure if that tracker is correct. I've been looking at it earlier. It says that like 9 of them are sailing. 9 of them are not sailing. Very major salutes. Major salutes. But you're talking about an entire second flotilla. Yes, and from Turkey they left, and from a bunch of other places. There's going to be so many fucking boats. There's going to be so many boats.
Gaza.
We carry only food, aid, we carry water filters, we carry crutches, we carry baby formula for the people that have been starving to death.
What follows is what members of the flotilla call active aggression, which is illegal in international.
Massive protests are already erupting all over the world as well, especially most of the countries from which these people are from. It is an incredibly impressive feat of protest and support for the struggling people in Gaza and the entire imperialist world. Incredibly based people. Like, I can't think of a more advanced form of activism than these absolute G's.
Vessels. The confrontation had been building since early Tuesday, when more than 40 boats entered what they called a high-risk area in the Mediterranean Sea. It's where the Israeli military stopped previous humanitarian missions to Gaza. Israel calls it an active combat zone, but the aggression this night is towards civilians, including the arrest of Swedish activist Greta Thunberg. Thousands of miles away on land, demonstrations break out across nearly a dozen cities as word of the Israeli actions spread. They include large marches in countries from where some of the...
Someone's going to live stream from a Paris protest later. That's sick. He's in Paris?
Boats set sail, with more than 500 people taking part. Many of them say they will refuse to sign Israeli papers. And the flotilla's mission to highlight the suffering in Gaza is not yet at end. Felix Nyawara, Al Jazeera.
Earlier, my colleague Darren Jordan spoke with our correspondent Nida Ibrahim, and she explained what will come next for the activists who've been arrested.
Now the process is going to be taking them to the port of Ashdod, taking at least the bigger boats. The smaller boats, we expect the Israeli forces to try and sink them. But then they're going to bring everyone to Ashdod and then try to find the legal framework for them, whereby they're going to have to be presented to a court under the accusation that they've tried to enter Israel illegally, although they weren't trying to enter Israel.
They're in international waters.
And they were going to Palestinian territorial waters to try and drop aid in the Gaza port and go back.
You mentioned Ashdod there, Nida. The Israelis have been telling the flotilla boats to head to the port of Ashdod to offload the humanitarian aid, and then they will transfer it to Gaza. But should we believe the Israelis about what will actually happen to the aid?
Well, the main reason we have a flotilla is because we have an Israeli blockade that has been ongoing in Gaza for more than 18 years. And since the war started, we've been seeing how much restriction Israel has imposed on Palestinians and aid trucks from, that are not being allowed to enter. A trickle of Gaza's needs is entering right now. We're talking about dozens of trucks, if that, and we have been talking and comparing that to more than 500 trucks that used to enter Gaza per day. When we talk about these small numbers that are entering, and there's a vast need, this is what triggered these activists to come from more than 40 countries to try and bring aid to a much needed place. But let me say that this is a symbolic aid. You know, they're bringing baby formula.
Of course.
And some aid.
That's the point. And low-key, the hope, no matter how unfortunate and horrible that would be, is for Israel to overreact. This is an absurd thing to say for Israel to overreact. They're already overreacting because this is international water, and this is just fucking baby formula and food that they want to bring to a starved, genocided people. But the hope, like deep down, low-key, to most of these people is, Israel doing even the next step after that and causing such irreversible damage that, everybody, quote-unquote, rises up against it, especially in an international climate where, unfortunately, Palestinians are completely dehumanized, so you need somebody from the West to be hurt. And these brilliant people are using that very privilege and going there, putting their bodies in front of the cause, both allegorically and literally, in order to protect their principles and maybe bring even more light to this already enshrined act of genocide. But yeah, the Israelis are playing it the way the Israelis always play it, somewhere in the fucking middle when it comes to international coverage. Thank you, Username, for the 18 months, you fucking G. Thank you very much, Username. Username is one of the fucking OGs in here.
But they're not sure that this is going to be hardly sufficient, but they're trying.
Khawaja Araf is an activist who's part
What
of...
else? I can't, that's why I put so much respect on their name, as they say. I can't imagine anything else that a civilian could literally do that's more than this. Like, they got on a fucking boat and they're literally fucking driving towards it. What else? Like, tell me, what act of protest could be greater than this? None. Like, you literally will not be able to think of one. Putting themselves directly in harm's way. TOS stuff. Yeah, no. And that would be complicated as well.
The Freedom Flotilla currently sailing for Gaza. She says the international community is failing in its legal obligations, not just toward the flotilla, but the victims of Israel's genocide.
Israel, its actions are not only intimidating, but they have caused serious injury and death to civilians on this flotilla. But what we have seen is that our countries allow Israel to get away with it. They have never held Israel accountable, even for killing civilians. And so we call on these countries to uphold your obligations under international law to Palestinians who are undergoing a genocide. Countries have a responsibility to act to end a genocide, and also countries have a responsibility to protect their civilians. So we are sailing peacefully in international waters, and Israel is threatening and has also already undertaken these illegal actions against us. They are attacking us, and our countries are not only not doing anything, but recently we've heard countries, just the other day, Maloney in Italy asking us to stand down, so to protect Israel's illegal blockade, and then not doing anything to pressure Israel not to violate our rights. The last boat that...
And also, low-key disappointment with the military ships that have been sent in that were a very, very big step, but ended up, unfortunately, looking like simple political gesturing and cinema and theater is the better word than anything with a true spine. But hey, I'll take what I can get.
As it sails towards Gaza, Israeli forces...
These are like special forces, literally.
...intercept and board one of the vessels making up the global Samud flotilla. With those on board detained at gunpoint, they will be taken to Israel. Members of the flotilla call the operation active aggression.
Well, how they can't help themselves. He absolutely can't help himself but point a gun. He knows 1,000,000% that there's no motherfucker with a knife there or a motherfucker with a gun or any of that. He just literally can't help himself. And I would love to sit in that fucking intelligence briefing where they get briefed before they get sent on an operation. And I'm pretty sure that even for the unhinged fucking Zionists, there was a couple of fucking agents in there that like higher ranking that were like, you know, be careful with this shit. Like it's literally being live streamed and so on. And even with that, they can't fucking help themselves. They cannot help themselves.
With those on board detained at gunpoint, they will be taken to Israel.
So frustrating as an American, we are swarmed with lack of this news. NYT Daily, after daily about BS while the editor's kids commit genocide. Yeah, I mean, it's everything is completely pacified in the U.S. We've seen how unions can be utilized for incredible international progressive causes. For example, in Italy, with one of its biggest and most important unions pretty much calling for a general strike, successfully doing it once, and they're going to do it one more time by utilizing their very real political power, reminding all of us that all of political power comes from the hands of the workers upholding a particular country. And when we completely disagree with the foreign policy of our country, we can grind everything to a halt. A great depiction of how a union, even in the West, can be utilized as a tool against imperialism. That is why you should always look at unions not as a broad category, but unions individually, where, for example, in the United States, when it comes to foreign policy, they have been systemically pacified, neutered, so to say, for decades upon decades, where they are not allowed to do anything of this sort without 25 fucking FBI agents immediately raiding the house of all union representatives in the next 12 fucking hours. Right?
Members of the flotilla.
So I'm just expanding what you said. It's not just the media coverage. There is no system left in place in the United States that can allow the wide masses to show their protest as a means of show their protests in a form that will force the executive body of government to listen. Because in Italy, because unions had not been neutered to such an extent, they managed to even force a far right government to low-key freak out about this whole thing. Thank you very much, Vapor, for paying your taxes, my dear friend. Thank you very much.
Call the operation active aggression and say it's illegal in international waters.
This is the Israeli Navy. You are approaching a blockaded zone.
Hours earlier, the
I love that they posted this, right? They posted this, and it's being recorded from the back. They're not showing her face, which who doesn't want to show their face? This is ironic, me saying with a mask. But you get my point.
Israeli Navy ordered the flotilla to change course.
Please change your course.
Replying over the radio, the crew identified themselves as
what Jokula said. So everyone get off your asses and go organize a protest in your city right now, or join one. 100 million fucking percent. Nothing would make me happier than today's stream count literally falling to 12 people and you guys going out and organizing IRL. That's half the reason why I do this shit. So yes, please.
As civilians.
If you have the ability to do so, please.
On an aid mission to Gaza.
We carry only food, aid, we carry water filters, we carry crutches, we carry baby formula for the people that you've been starving to death.
Activists volunteering for this mission say the international community is failing its legal obligations toward both the flotilla and to Palestinians.
Countries have a responsibility to act to end a genocide, and also countries have a responsibility to protect their civilians. So we are sailing peacefully in international waters, and Israel is threatening and has also already undertaken these illegal actions against us.
After communications systems were jammed, Some boats were hit by water cannons, and others rammed by Israeli naval vessels. The confrontation had
And
been
not just water, but skunk water. If you want to know what skunk water is, you can Google it. It's too disgusting for me to explain.
building since early on Tuesday, when more than 40 boats entered what they called a high-risk area in the Mediterranean Sea, where the Israeli military has previously stopped humanitarian missions to Gaza. Israel calls this an active combat zone. But its
Colombia has also kicked out all Israeli diplomatic staff from its country. It will no longer be buying any weaponry from the United States. Instead, it will be, developing its own weapons industry or whatever. And I think there was 2 more things that they decided to do. Right, just an example of a country that's got it up till here. With some relatively competent leadership, at least when it comes to foreign policy. I have no idea what the Colombian government is when it comes to domestic governance. Thank you, Goose, for the 19 months. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is so cool. Thank you, Goose.
operation has
Goose Majour is such a good name, too.
been directed against civilians, including Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, who was also arrested. Thousands of kilometers away on land, demonstrations broke out across nearly a dozen cities in Europe and elsewhere as word of the Israeli actions spread. With more than 500 people taking part in the flotilla, despite many being detained, there's a sense of
Also,
defiant.
why is he holding the rifle with one hand and then just pointing it? It's so unprofessional, even.
People taking part in the flotilla, despite many being detained, there's a sense of defiance.
I'm a fucking idiot that goes to a shooting range once a month, and I know that that's an unhinged thing to do.
And a commitment to
Because he saw it in the movies.
continue to highlight the suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza. Mohammed Jamjoom, Al Jazeera.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for
One of the boats in the flotilla is carrying legal teams to support crew detained by the Israeli military.
Greta has had the greatest redemption arc. I mean, not even just redemption, it's just arc. She never was bad for it to be redemption or whatever. She's a fucking kid doing whatever she could as a fucking kid. And now she's an incredibly based comrade that immediately was pulled out of any sort of representation, absolutely anywhere, when she did the particular switch.
Al Jazeera's Hassan Massoud is on board. He has the latest from the Mediterranean Sea.
We are trying our best to be to the east of this flotilla, not following the same.
This is really smart. For example, they are actually sending lawyers in a separate ship. This undermines Israel's ability to say that they cannot get lawyers for the people that are being apprehended because, I don't know, nobody wants to represent them in Israel or whatever, because they can point at all of these people that probably have direct temporary contracts signed to be their legal representatives anywhere. Because Israel can be like, we will deport you in 2 days. That's not enough time for us to get you a lawyer. But like this, the lawyers can literally be there and then do a very, very, very good job. But that doesn't stop the Israelis from doing what the Israelis are definitely going to do, which is just completely fucking ignore that. Thank you to Pizza Famine and Goose Majour again for paying your taxes, my beautiful people. Thank you very much. Everyone who's joined us, follow if you like left-leaning, a very left-leaning coverage from a person from the Balkans who lives in the Balkans and has done this for a while now. Thank you very much.
A trial or the same path of these boats that were intercepted, just to keep our coverage, and also because of
Hey you, how's the flotilla update for us raiders? Pretty much all of them have been seized, including Greta Thunberg, I believe all the boats. There's more boats now leaving, and different flotillas leaving from different places. Protests all over the world, especially from parts of the world whose citizens have gone on the boat are spawning, and they're gonna continue to spawn harder and harder. The harder Israel cracks down on all of this. That's pretty much the general gist of it.
the legal support
and yes, in Italy, where they have, to my surprise as well, incredibly progressive and strong unions, there's going to be a general strike, which is so fucking impressive and beautiful to see. That's exactly what a union is supposed to do. Breedable Bread, love your content. Thank you very much, Breedable Bread. I love your name. That is an impressive name.
the lawyers that are on this boat, especially that it's called the Shireen Abu Aqli, this observer boat. It's identified like the legal support, and it's registering all the violations of the humanitarian law and also the international law and even the marine law for this flotilla. And the lawyers here will add these documents that they have and that they registered and documented during these attacks and these interceptions in a file that will be sent to the ICG. And this is one of the jobs that the lawyers here are working on, and we are monitoring all the cameras, the ICTV cameras, and we are till now we can see and we can confirm that several boats are still trying to reach.
This is old. Keep in mind, right? The Italian left has been quiet and incubating in actual labor. They got fucked by the U.S. for decades. Italian labor right now is showing, for example, the Americans, but also the rest of the world, that to an extent it does not matter what kind of government, executive body of state you have at any current moment. If you have very strong organizations that are incredibly principled and that are going to follow through no matter what on those principles, that you can redirect foreign and domestic policy whatever way you want, okay? If the Italians can do it with a far-right president currently in power, if they can remind her, quite literally put, not her, the whole government back into its place by reminding them that the whole country stops fucking working, even if one union or two or three, or God forbid, a general strike ends up happening and fully following through, they gotta do what they are told, okay? That is why, I'm going to repeat myself, in the United States, all unions have been neutered to such an extent, especially when it comes to foreign policy, and then reintegrated, unfortunately, by empire, at least when it comes to pursuing international solidarity. Hence why unions, just like any other tool of organization, like a party, like anything else, should not exclusively be viewed as positive or negative, but should be looked at from case to case basis, because the Italian unions are not the same as, some of the biggest American unions, etc., etc. They both have union in their name, but the way they operate is very differently. So the incredibly overarching sometimes analysis of Western Union good or Western Union bad miss the whole fucking point, because there's a massive difference from union to union. U.S.'s largest union, ironically enough, is the teachers' union, and it's still smaller than Italy's 5 million member union that just went on strike. Oh, don't even get me started on size. Not everywhere. If you try that in the Arab world, you will be shot. Yeah, but like if you try that, you're telling me that if I don't know, the teachers' union in the United States decided to do a general education strike and not go to the schools unless the United States of America stops supplying funds and weaponry to the genocidal Israeli state, that they're not immediately going to send a team of 25 fucking FBI agents to every single union organizer's house? Yes, they fucking will. That union will become reclassified, I think legally can also be in the United States, reclassified as standing against national interests and therefore seized by the state.
Gaza, while there is several boats also till now.
There's literally leftover laws from the first and the second Red Scare that allow them to basically designate domestic unions as foreign threats. It would become Antifa immediately, yes. Can't have the Burger Reich without fried unions. Okay, that was so bad, Café. That was good. Sedition. Yeah.
Since the beginning of the past night at around 9 p.m. they started the interception. Until now, the interception is still ongoing for several boats also in the sea. Now the boats and the captains of these boats, they decided not to stop even with the interception that is happening. They decided to continue even if one of the boats only reached Gaza. For them is achieving their goal to break the siege and to try to confirm and show that they can break the siege and they can do something towards the Gaza people. This is the idea that they are always saying, and they insisted on it also even after the interception. The Global Summit Flotilla organizers, they are confirming that also the fleet will continue. And while we are speaking now, there is also another flotilla that set sail from Sicily 3 days ago. It's called Thousand Madeleine, and it's also collaborating in a collaboration with Freedom Flotilla. They are still ongoing. They are sailing till Gaza and towards Gaza even after this interception.
Dr. James Smith is a British emergency physician who was on the Sumud flotilla 2 weeks ago. He says the members of the humanitarian fleet...
Protests have broken out around the world after Israel interception of the international flotilla heading to Gaza. What's up, Kubash? Hammers and sickles, love to see it, eh? Talk about being on the right side of history literally 100% of the fucking time. Okay, like 95% of the time. What time is it in your area? It's between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. I'll give you that much.
Around the world is standing for Gaza, is standing against genocide.
Yep.
Were aware of the risks they faced trying to break Israel's siege of
This
Gaza.
is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org,
I mean, the participants
the War
were
and Peace
defiant.
Report.
They were,
I'm Amy Goodman.
and still
And I'm Narmeen Sheikh. Welcome to our listen.
Apologies, chat. That switched for some reason. No, okay, it switched for a good reason. This is extremely fresh.
And viewers across the country and around the world. Israel's Navy has intercepted...
it's bad if the Turks protested, yeah.
...dozens of ships laden with humanitarian aid.
Welcome to the War and War Report. My name is Amy Badman, and everything sucks.
Halting efforts by international activists to break Israel's siege of the Gaza Strip.
Amy Goodman for Prez, my goat. Wow, you really love Amy Badman. We joke around here and call her Amy Badman, not because we don't like her, but because... watching Democracy Now! Is literally just like a continuous doomer pill. Eternal, most doomer pill news on the planet. That's why they're good, because they report very raw.
Video live streamed by the Global Sumud Flotilla showed Israeli commandos boarding ships in international waters and abducting dozens of activists. A spokesperson for the flotilla said at least 201 people from 37 countries had been taken into custody. Among them, Nelson Mandela.
Which, by the way, that's an incredibly large number of people. And for a country as small as Israel to even contain them and process them is already putting a lot of soldiers they can potentially be doing fucked up shit in the West Bank and in Gaza away from their quote unquote duties, being said very ironically.
His grandson, Nkosi Mandla Mandela, and the Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, who recorded this message before the raid.
name is Tumba. I'm a citizen of Sweden. If you are watching this video, I have been abducted and taken against my will by Israeli forces. Our humanitarian mission was non-violent and abiding by international law. Please tell my government to demand my and the others' immediate release.
The latest numbers show over 440 activists were arrested. We're joined now by Saif Abu Keshek, a Palestinian activist on the steering committee.
Taking custody for what? That's the whole meme. That's the whole meme. When you are an ally to the world's only world power, this is what you get to do. International law is Santa Claus for adults. When there is nobody that can say no to one government. How can you have international law when there is no police force strong enough to arrest the biggest guy on the planet? Or his little slave colonies.
Of the global Samud Flotilla. He's joining us from Athens, Greece. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Saif. Can you explain what happened?
Hello, thank you. I mean, we have all seen... and
this is extremely fresh, by the way. You're watching the newest shit.
New action of the genocidal government of Israel, violating international law, violating maritime laws, intercepting peaceful, non-violent ships of human rights activists, lawyers, journalists, and day-to-day people carrying humanitarian aid to break the siege and end the genocide and open a humanitarian corridor for the people of Gaza. We have witnessed during hours the actions of the Israeli Navy harassing the ships and causing panic, and in many occasions using water cannon against the people and the sailing boats, which could have resulted in major incidents. Also boarding the ships with arms and violently forcing people, kidnapping them from their ships and taking them to Ashdod. We expect the charge to come, as in previous occasions, to illegally have entered into Israel, which is good luck to try to explain that. When you intercept ships, international water, kidnap the people, take them by force to your prison, and then charge them of entering illegal. This is a new concept that we just have to take from Israel. What is also more shameful, the complicity that we have seen from several countries and governments, including the Italian and the Spanish, who stood at 150 mile, acknowledging those new distance that has been established by force by Israel, saying that this we consider as the exclusivity area, and if there are ships entering into those...
That is literally both Italy and Spain going against something that we agreed on as a world society, like I believe around 120, 30 years ago, on what constitutes territory when it comes to water. Because you are giving a precedent to the Israelis to now say that the entire fucking ocean in front of them has been given to them 5,000 years ago, okay? They've been promised they can make aqualand. Motherfucker's gonna start building, like fucking draining the sea and making settlements there as well.
Areas we will intervene.
So Moses had opened the sea, so now we can open the sea, and they start draining shit. They're like, it's ours. You guys agreed that the line of territory has been pushed, so we're making our beaches inside of the water.
So they just have taken that for granted and accepted that action.
Most of the relevant naval treaties are post-World War II, but the point stands. Thank you very much for the correction. I thank you very much.
Thing more that Israel tried to impose on land by de facto, such as their military occupation, the rejection of the Court of Justice.
The next Aquaman is going to be Israeli. We're going to call him Seaman.
The rejection of the resolution against the apartheid wall, the rejection of the 1967 borders, which is a long history of resolutions that are made for Israel to comply with, and they continue violating and rejecting.
And Steph, so could you talk about, obviously, these countries you've named who are complicit, but what about the countries who've responded, who've been very, very critical of what Israel has done? Among them, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, who has now expelled all remaining Israeli diplomats from the country.
Yes, and I think we should focus on the later part of it, because expressing concern or expressing or condemning the violations that Israel is continue doing is not good enough anymore. They have been doing this for a long time. Even Spain and Italy and many of the other...
Great. Very, very good. Thank you, Urflexo, for the gifty, my friend.
Countries, they did make declarations at the beginning warning if Israel takes actions or if they try to stop the flotilla or if they make harm, then there will be consequences. And still we have seen nothing. The actions that were taken by the Colombian president are the example to follow. We are fed up, not only as organizers within Solidarity Movement, but also as Palestinians, to continue hearing those declarations and condemning and statements while we are living under genocide for the past 22 months. Yesterday evening, one of the United Nations spokesperson, he was saying that they hope that no harm happen for the people on the flotilla. In a way, it's shameful such a declaration to come from a United Nations representative.
It is, because it keeps proving the point that here in chat we are screaming from the top of our lungs. This is a systemic issue. What is at the crux of this systemic issue? Unipolar world order.
Discriminative
when somebody's so big, like the United States and its allies, you can't do shit. This doesn't mean we fucking love the other side or that the other side is doing anything right. No. When it comes to Gaza, they absolutely aren't, and that should be voiced very openly. But you can't. The UN physically cannot do anything against American foreign policy, and through extension, Israeli foreign policy, because America is in every sense of the word more powerful than the UN, at least believed to be. And that's enough when it comes to political power.
Situation when we see Palestinians are suffering for the past 22 months genocide and military occupation for the past 78 years. And the concern is on us, the ones who are traveling through the Mediterranean, because of the failure of such politicians to take a stand and to basically impose on Israel. So those are the actions, such as the president of Colombia to expel the Israeli diplomats, to stop the association agreements with the European Union, to stop all basically relationships. Why Israel plays in the European Union? When Russia started the war, they were kicked out from the World Cup. Israel has been committing genocide for 22 months and nothing happens there. So we need. Sorry. Yes.
Saif, I wanted to bring in another person who's on a supporting flotilla. While Israeli forces intercepted dozens of aid boats from the global Samud flotilla, there are still more boats, as you said, heading to Gaza. We go now to one of them. It's called...
Well, yeah, how many times have they vetoed an otherwise unanimous vote? Yes, but think about it outside of the structure of the UN. Okay? Sure, you know, on the front page, it's them going through proper channels, vetoing, making a clear statement about how they don't give a flying fuck about how the UN functions, that they can use the Security Council whatever way they want, blah, blah, blah. But that would put them in a position that is equal to that of other Security Council members. They are not, okay? Even if they had no veto power, okay, even if the Security Council didn't exist, if the United States of America did not have veto power, blah, 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 if it was the only country together with Israel, which to an extent, when it comes to relevant countries it is, that stands for the continuation of the genocide, they would be able to still do it. The power dynamics at play in international politics when it comes to everyone else and America are like that, okay? The only credence that should be given to American exceptionalism theory that is correct is when it comes to America's position in the international world order. And that is that nothing moves and nothing happens to whatever project that they're currently pushing forward. And in this case, that is Gaza.
The Conscience, which left from Italy on Tuesday carrying journalists and health workers. The Freedom Flotilla.
I want you to stop thinking that you live on a planet where there is such a thing as sovereignty of nation states, because it would only take the United States of America 2 sentences and 3 deployed fucking tankers to prove to you that there isn't. So how can we say that we have sovereignty? How can we say that there is international law when every single organization on planet Earth that is worth its fucking weight in salt, from the ICJ to every single fucking human rights organization, etc., 100% agrees on what the fuck is happening, being both illegal and immoral, and yet there's not much to do about it, because there is literally physically not much to do about it. So you are all, to an extent, my dear friends, American citizens, but without voting rights. We are living in on America's planet, not our own. Don't lie to yourself that it is that it is any other way. It's kind of crazy how 4 of my country's people have been kidnapped by Israelis, one of which is an MP of the largest liberal party. It's a rare sight to finally see a lib do something good. The government has responded in similar fashion to Italy's. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. But as you're in my chat, so not to tap myself on the back, that means you're really smart. And what I'm trying to push you towards is not only to look at that like, oh, look, my country is a coward, which they are, don't get me wrong. Literally the whole planet, we're all fucking cowards. Every single country, like every single one. Except maybe Colombia right now. I want you to look at it from a systemic lens. And from a systemic lens, they don't really have a choice. Unless the entire international community finally breaks and goes like, fuck this. Which is very, very difficult to do. But, thank you, America, for helping. Yemen, yes, apologies. Yemen, absolutely. You don't talk shit about the brave people of Yemen. I agree. I apologize. A big L on my end. Big L. Big L. I take my L's when I deserve them. Absolutely. But the point still stands. China is the only country that could stop America. I don't necessarily agree. And she won't do that because he and all of the world can see that the American empire is slowly dying. The Chinese are long gaming this 100%. And they don't see it as their concern.
Coalition sent the ship to challenge Israel's siege and the media blackout. We're joined now by Emily Wilder, a freelance reporter for Jewish Currents. In 2021, she was fired by the Associated Press after she was targeted in a Republican smear campaign for her pro-Palestinian activism at Stanford University. Emily Wilder, you are a Jewish reporter. You write for Jewish Currents. Talk about why you're on this boat called the Conscience.
Yes, thank you so much, Amy. I am currently aboard the Conscience, as you mentioned, a vessel organized by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which is joining this multi-wave flotilla movement toward Gaza in hopes of breaking Israel's blockade and reaching Gaza's shore. The mission of the Conscience in particular is it's mostly medical workers and media workers, and what it's responding to is Israel's blockade on coverage.
What's your opinion on Chinese foreign policy, Hugo? Do you agree with it? It's incredibly too subjective. As a Bakan dude that really cares about the plight of people in Gaza, I don't. If I was Chinese, I would. That's it. If I was Chinese, I would.
As well.
They're long-terming it. And long-terming it takes, let's call it, moral flexibility. But let's not make this about China. This is about Israel and the United States of America.
Well, as humanitarian aid of what's going on in Gaza, it's responding to Israel's targeting of civilian medical and media workers, and it's responding to the silence or even support of these acts by members of both the international press and medical communities. So, as you mentioned, I am reporting for Jewish Currents on board. I am here to witness this historic moment, to document this historic movement, and hopefully to report from on the ground in Gaza. But I am under no illusions that there is a deficit of evidence of the atrocities, of Israel's atrocities in Gaza, and of the ever worsening conditions there for everyone there, but including and especially for Palestinian journalists and healthcare workers.
Emily, we just have 10 seconds and your voice is a little breaking up, but what does it mean that you are reporting to us on this day, on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year?
It's something I've been thinking about a lot today. It's the fact that on the eve...
Why are we making it about that? I don't want to make it about that. I don't care. It is sad that something like this is happening on today's day. I agree, but I don't want that to take the conversation point. Thank you very much.
We will all go together when we go. What a comforting fact that is to know. Universal bereavement.